Have you ever heard of Cupid? C-U-P-I-D. As a young boy, I lived in Greenwich Village with my mother in a hippie loft. There I met my best friend, Christopher. One day, one of our loft mates ran in and said to Christopher's my mother, "Hey, Valerie, hey, Barbara, we're going to a little concert in upstate New York." Without hesitations, our moms grabbed a few things we had and ran out the door. There was a giant bus painted with flowers and words like love and peace. And it took us to a little concert in a place called Woodstock. Yeah, that Woodstock. There, Christopher and I bonded as close friends. I loved him. Woodstock was magic. Every time you turn around, something groovy was going on. I was even 4 years old, but I remember it like it was yesterday. Christopher used to always walk up to people and ask them to have a beautiful day and hand them flowers and herbs. The festival of music and culture were in the air. It was a fantastic time to be alive. Christopher and I had many adventures. We went around. Everywhere we went, he asked me to plant trees. However, when I was 10, Christopher was 10, Christopher, his mother and father were tragically killed by a drunk driver. I was devastated. I loved him dearly. He was the brother I never had. I couldn't believe he was gone forever. After that, I was afraid to drive in cars. What was the meaning of his death? After all he wanted to do was tell everyone the world would be a better place if we just helped each other. During my sorrow, my grandmother Nita invited me to Washington, D.C. What made the most lasting impression on me was a trip to the National Portrait Gallery and new exhibit honoring the Roosevelts. Looking at Eleanor Roosevelt's words, my grandmother whispered her words to me. When you cease to make a contribution, you begin to die. When you cease to make a contribution, you begin to die. These words impacted me so much. From that day forward, I made a promise to myself and to Christopher's memory, who was always an inspiration in helping others, that everything I would do would have some level of contribution. Having been an avid volunteer ever since that memorable day in our nation's capital, and allegiance to my dear friend, I have spent a lot of time thinking about volunteerism, what it means, and how to become a more powerful volunteer. Over time, I've developed a philosophy of volunteerism. I created the Cupid factor, C-U-P-I-D. Those who volunteer successfully have a natural internal ability or can develop a comprehensive set of skills. And these are essential skills that all volunteers need to develop, especially if you're a leader. Volunteers need to acquire the compassion, the understanding, the patience, the identification, and dedication. Now, no one's born a Cupid. All volunteers who stick with it eventually earn their wings and quivers and spread joy to all living things, becoming true angels of love. To further explore the Cupid, let's start with compassion. The core skill of compassion is learned by caring for people like yourself, and is synonymous with the act of doing. The compassionate volunteer gets involved when others might choose to keep their distance and motivates others to do the same. I recall an incident with a woman who came into a shelter. She was obviously on the edge of panic, distressed. No one could communicate with her. I just sat down with her and held her hand for a few moments. After a few minutes, a calmness came over her, and we were able to help her much more effectively. Next is understanding whom you are serving and what support is needed. When different people have different problems, they come into you, and they all have different needs. When I'm running a shelter for the Red Cross, the first question I ask is what support is needed for the people coming into my shelter, for the community coming into my shelter. Do they need food? What food do they eat? Do they need clothing? Do they have service animals? So now you've developed your compassion and your understanding. You need to seek patience for those you serve because something has disrupted their lives. A volunteer needs to hear them out and let them feel they're in a safe and supportive environment. Listening instead of talking will help you show more patience to the people you serve. In whatever organization a volunteer works, others like nonprofits and privately owned businesses will also be involved. Many of these entities have their own agendas and policies to follow. This makes the volunteer's efforts much more challenging. This is where the volunteer's patience skill will be vital, and it's essential that all volunteers or leaders need to develop. Identifying with the people and the organizations and fellow volunteers is essential for helping more effectively. The best practice here is to empathize with their situation, to finding a more meaningful way to achieve their goals. Okay, so you're almost a Cupid. You have the skills of compassion, understanding, patience, and identification. Lastly, a successful volunteer needs to have a strong sense of dedication. This is a quality of being loyal or devoted to a task, cause, or purpose, and comes with the territory of volunteering. The dedication sets us apart from those who merely dream to those who actually make things happen and keeps us motivated when faced with challenges and setbacks and requires discipline, focus, and a commitment to seeing things through, even if they're tough. Eleanor Roosevelt's words to me, when you cease to make a contribution, you begin to die, emphasizes the importance of a contribution and emphasizes the purpose of making more meaningful contributions in life. Making a contribution not only enrich your life, but will make a positive impact on those around you. Now, Christopher, he led me to believe that it's not about the material things one accumulates in life, but what one accomplishes in service to others. So write down the core skills of compassion, understanding, patience, identification, dedication, and think about which ones you've already mastered and which ones you need to work on. Write them down and put the comments down below, because this will be on YouTube, so you can put the comments down below. And by the way, you can like this video too. And figure out which ones you need to work on. I guarantee that you will see a better path to becoming a really your own Cupid and spread joy to all living things. As Mahatma Gandhi once said, the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in service to others.